What's up guys, it's BD here and this is a review of the HyperX Alloy Origins 60. Man, I remember my first HyperX keyboard. I don't have it anymore because it broke. And since then, I never really looked at another keyboard from HyperX. I just went with other brands. There was just no redeeming qualities in those keyboards other than the fact that some of my favorite players were using them. But then again, they were sponsored. But it seems like HyperX has changed the narrative around their products, especially with that new Post-Fire Haste that I just reviewed and loved. Now they're back with a 60% keyboard, something people have been asking for a very long time now. And it seems like with this keyboard, they've learned a lot from their Ducky collaboration and brought over a lot of those same features into this keyboard. For those of you guys who love HyperX but you've never used a 60% keyboard, you're worried about losing those function rows, the arrow keys, or the numpad, don't worry, you can get used to not having those, especially since on the function layer, that button all the way over to the right, you can hold that and then hit the F roll on the top. There's multimedia keys all over this along the bottom side of the keycaps. So it does take some getting used to, but you can do it, and I think it's worth it because the 60% form factor is one that will save you a lot of desk space and just give your desk a cleaner, minimal aesthetic and more room to move around your mouse, especially if you have a lower sensitivity. The one thing that really surprised me about this keyboard was the weight. The older HyperX keyboards were actually pretty light. This one with its metal base actually feels really hefty. It comes in at around 700 grams in comparison to a Mecha Mini from Ducky, which is around 800 grams. Then when you compare to the original Ducky 1-2 Mini or the HyperX 1-2 Mini, that one is around 400 grams. So in the hand, it feels like you got a real quality keyboard in comparison to their older ones. It has this open design case allowing the RGB to shine brightly out these sides. They've also learned from Ducky and brought over the 3-level kickstand feet, which is very nice to see. I like putting this keyboard at the highest setting. When you do this, you can feel the edges of the keycaps a little bit better as opposed to when you have the keyboard flat. Another thing that's noticeably changed compared to their older HyperX Alloy keyboards is that this one has a detachable USB-C. That's right, they didn't go with the USB Mini or Micro. I love that they went USB-C here because it's the future, it's what you should have, and that way you can bring over some of your coiled cables over to this keyboard if you want to. And if anything were to go wrong with the cable, you now can just replace the cable. You don't have to replace your whole keyboard. They've also included in the box an escape key, and they've also included a topo spacebar, which looks absolutely sick. It's shine through, it gives a lot of brightness to this keyboard. I really like the look of it. They've also added in a keycap puller in there as well. These are double shot PBT keycaps. They are smoother to the touch. They really remind me of the Ducky keycaps, so I think they brought that over again from Ducky. It's not the rougher PBT that you would feel like on some other keycaps. Like, these are way softer and smoother than the PBT keycaps from Razer. And this is a real blessing because some companies are still putting ABS keycaps on their keyboards. That's right. So I love to see this. I do not take that for granted. You know, we've been spoiled, but a lot of companies aren't doing it and they're not GMK quality. So we know who you are, we see you. Thank you, HyperX, for not doing that to your keyboard. Now on the bottom side of the keycaps, you'll see that they have some markings for the function layer. You can also configure the function layer within the software, although it is kind of limited. You can't like change the Windows key to like the caps lock or change around the function key or anything like that, but you can add multimedia keys and some macros in there. Also in the software, you can also change the RGB settings as well. You can do per key. They have different rainbow waves and different raindrop modes. Typical of what you would see from any other keyboard on the market. And I think this is actually a selling point for some people over the Ducky, that you actually have a software. It's plug and play. Ducky has been promising a software for the longest time. Hasn't come yet. It's been years now. So HyperX, they just came out with a keyboard. They have the software ready for it. So if you're a person that just doesn't want to deal with the macro system on the Ducky, this could be a viable option. Now these are rocking the HyperX 45 gram red switches. I actually like these. They're pretty smooth. There is some stem wobble here, so it doesn't feel as premium as some of the, it's not going to be smooth as some of the premium switches like Alpacas, Creams, Black Inks. But the HyperX 45 gram is a good middle ground for most people, and I think most people will actually be satisfied with these switches. I'm kind of confused though. It seems like they're holding out on putting their Aqua switches into this keyboard. They held out on putting it into their Ducky, which a lot of people wanted to see. So hopefully in the future, they bring over the Aqua switches to the Origin 60. So I kind of look at the HyperX switches kind of like a rebranding of the Cherry MX switches. So let's drop a sound test for you guys so you can hear what this keyboard sounds like. Now the keyboard itself, as you can tell, it doesn't sound bad. It's not the worst that we've ever heard. There's gonna be a lot more clack compared to the higher end keyboards, right? The one area of the Origin 60 that really gets exposed is the stabilizers. They're horrible, they feel atrocious, it's unexcusable. This is one thing they didn't learn from Ducky, is that Ducky actually lubes their stabilizers. Albeit it's not always the most consistent, at least they lube it, and the sound shows on the Duckies. The stabilizers on those actually sound really good stock, okay? On this keyboard, not so much. Now, somebody in my comments before said, hey BT, stabilizers don't really affect your gameplay. And that's true, okay? I'll give you that. It doesn't really affect it, but it's a symptom of a bigger problem, right? Is that they're using cheaper materials on this keyboard, and they're also not putting the care to just lube their stabilizers. It's a simple fix. That's the thing that irks me. It's a simple fix. It's so easy. Okay, maybe it's not easy, but it's from a manufacturing standpoint, just get some lube stabilizers, put them in here, problem solved. Okay, you have one of the best 60% stock keyboards on the market, okay? Like, no. So with that being said, this keyboard is $100, okay? And it will be available at some point at Best Buy. Right now it's only on the HyperX website, but at some point this will be on the shelves. So I think that this hits a very specific niche and market. For the people that have like a Ducky 1-2 Mini, a Mecha Mini, or a Razer Huntsman already, I think you're straight. But I think this is gonna hit the people that have never seen a 60% keyboard, don't really trust Ducky, don't really trust Razer, right? HyperX is all over the place. They're massively popular, okay? They see a 60% keyboard from them, they might be more inclined to pick one up. So that's where I see this keyboard coming in. I don't really see people that already own a 60% keyboard getting this keyboard. There's no real reason to, unless you're just tired of waiting for Ducky to release a software for the 60% keyboards. And then another thing that I wanna kinda touch on is that now we have people like Novel Keys, like the NK65, that's kind of messing things up for people. It's kind of ruffling the feathers of the market for mech keyboards. And the fact they're getting a hot swap keyboard for $95. Sure, you gotta buy switches and keycaps, but I've seen a lot of people just skip over the Duckies and they're now just going with the NK65. So like I said, this is gonna be a gateway keyboard for people that trust HyperX. It's not a horrible keyboard, it feels great in the hand, it's just a stabilizer. So that one thing really keeps me from really saying that this is a must cop, okay? It's a sort of cop. All right, guys, it has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.